Gotta clear the dust off this thing. Hasn't been used in a while. How are you guys doing? Did you survive Axma? Thank God it's over. What have you guys been learning? More importantly, or just as important, I guess I should say. Have you been applying what you learn? I finally started taking more of Rabbi Reuben's advice. It took me long enough to start reading the weekly Torah portion, but now he mentioned in a recent lecture that it's good to read it as early in the week as possible, because that's what gives a person all their blessings for the week. Everything from protection from evil, like the ability to overcome the evil inclination, the Yetzer Hara, and not fall victim to committing a sin, to Parnassah, making money. If you like that kind of stuff. I mean, I don't really like money, but I like sustenance. I like being able to live. There's certain things in the world that you kind of need money for. But I've started reading the weekly Torah portion. Once I found out, once I heard Rabbi Reuben say that, I try to put everything as soon as pretty much as soon as Shabbat is over, or at least before I go to bed Saturday night. I try to read as much of the verses of the Torah portion as possible. Baruch Hashem, I have been able to finish it pretty much, at least by Sunday, the verses anyway. The rest of the week, usually I'm so busy. There's just so much other stuff to do. I don't have time to get through much of the commentary. The other thing I've been trying to do is try to go back in time in the time machine to look at stuff from in lectures lectures on the Torah portion from previous years. It's critical, especially this week, because there hasn't been any new lectures yet. So gotta learn something. And I watched been watching Musar Pirkei Avot 86. It's from a few years ago. Well, that's the awesome thing about the Torah. It goes in a cycle. The only thing is it's kind of hard to find. You can't pick a date whatever today is, January 17th. You can just pick January 17th, 2018 and find a lecture, because it doesn't work like that. But it'll get you close. You kind of have to fish around. And I learned a handy trick to find content in the Shurim, in the lecture videos, is open up the I forget what it's called. the horrible text thing on YouTube. If you're in a web browser, like or on a desktop, you can open up the. It's not transposition. It's I forget what it's called. It's like little. Click on the little three dots below the video box, and there's one thing that lets you open up a text box of all the text, voice to text that the computer generated, and you can just hit I think it's like Command F to search through all the text, and just like sometimes you got to enter multiple words because the computer doesn't translate Hebrew very accurately sometimes. So you got to, like, I searched for parashah, Parashah, and then like some other weird words that the computer rendered it as, but I found it and it worked out well. I can't remember what last week's Torah portion it was. It's been like over a month since. I think it's been over a month since I streamed last. So we've gone through like at least 4 or 5, if not more. I can't remember exactly when the last time was, but this Torah portion is via Exodus 6:2 to Exodus 9:35. This one's pretty short, but there's it's about to get brutal for the Egyptians. I guess on the last week's plural, Yaakov passed away. He had a bunch of kids, gave birth to the 12 tribes plus Yosef had Manasseh and Ephraim. Then Yosef passed away, Yosef became viceroy of Egypt. His policies enriched the Egyptians beyond anything comprehensible to anything. They became the most powerful nation in the world. Then once Yosef passed away, the beginning of last week's Torah portion is a new king arose over Egypt who did not know of Yosef. So like as soon as Yaakov and Yosef passed away, the Egyptians pretty much forget like all the benefit that the children of Israel brought to their country, and they start like really hating the Jews. But the amazing thing is, it's like as the sages in the commentary say, it's like the things that happen in the Torah are like, so much of it is like a rule for creation, and like a thing that is like bound to reoccur if the same things, same things keep happening. Like if the goyim keep being wicked people and just fulfilling their own desires, and if the Jews don't stick to the Torah like glue, there's always going to be, ups and downs of drastic proportion and horrible holocausts, and for both the Jews and the goyim. Because once the Jews get thrashed around, then God gets sick of the stick in his hands, so he has to smash it to pieces and burn it into a dust and ash till it blows away. Well, this week is the beginning of the culmination of God bringing the Exodus, or the redemption of the Jews out of Egypt. The first verse is pretty, like, seems pretty, like, no, if you don't read the commentary, or if you don't learn from a rabbi, it just seems like when I first read it, I thought the exact same thing that Rabbi Rubin said in Musar Perkei Avot 86. It says, Exodus chapter 6, verse 2. God spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Hashem. And Rabbi Rubin says, well, yeah, you spoke to Moses last week, and he knows you're God. We know you're God. Why are you telling us? Why are you telling Moshe that you are Hashem? And the one thing that, like, pretty much every translation that has a New Testament attached to it, and a lot of Tanakhs don't clearly define, like, which of God's names is used. And most of the English translations, especially the idol worship of the New Testament, like any translation of the Old Testament, is not going to be anywhere correct. It's like every time it has a different name, it doesn't mean like there's a different God. It means like there's only one God. But the reason the Torah uses a different name is because it symbolizes, and like it shows us, and it's a descriptive name that it describes how God interacts with the world. Like the second verse, it says, I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, but with my name Hashem, I did not make myself known to them. And some of the commentary says, that's, it's in one sense that's not accurate, because earlier in Genesis, to at least one of the patriarchs, I forget which, but I think it was Yaakov, it does say the Tetragrammaton, commonly referred to as Hashem, the name by most Jews with, or any Jew with Yirat Shamayim and that learned from a real rabbi with the tradition. But El Shaddai, the commentary says it's God. When it says El Shaddai, it means God's the God of sufficiency, or like God being sufficient to fulfill His word, and like keep. The other commentary also says that it's like the name El Shaddai refers to God setting the proper limits of everything from like the laws of nature to like good and evil, like how much reward and how much like suffering a person can withstand. And everything is like infinitely measured to be super precise, to not be more or less than is perfect. But but the first verse, God spoke to Moshe and he said to him, or God spoke to Moshe and said to him, I am Hashem. The commentary says, in this context, the root davar dalet bet resh connotes harsh speech. The Torah implies that God rebuked Moshe for his previous complaint that God had not made his mission successful. That's from Rashi. And it says, I am Hashem. This term implies God's trustworthiness to carry out his word, which includes punishment for sin and reward for virtue. Thus, God began his rebuttal of Moshe by assuring him that his pledge to keep to the patriarchs would be fulfilled, and that Moshe had been sent as his emissary to do so. That's also from Rashi. The reason Moshe's arrival in Egypt was followed by an immediate intensification of the slavery was that the Egyptians could not be punished until their measure of sin was full. For God is patient even with the wicked. By his cruel decree to deny straw to the hapless slaves in Exodus 5:7, Pharaoh had reached his nadir. I'm not sure exactly what that translation is, but I figure it's like the full measure of sin. And so the process of the Exodus and the punishment of Egypt could now begin. Thus, God's response to Moshe was that, far from coming to Egypt in vain, his arrival expedited the process of the Exodus, which was about to begin. And that's from Mizrahi. Not Rabbi Mizrahi, that most people probably know. It's like an older Jewish sage. And in the Chumash on Art Scroll Stone Chumash on, and probably also in the Rashi commentary, anywhere you find it, on Exodus 6:2 and 6:3, it gives the breakdown of like the use of God's names, and it also, maybe that was last week. Last week there's a commentary on like why the sages and most Jews don't say the Tetragrammaton. And they haven't for like anyone that learns Torah hasn't said that for, I don't know, probably a very, very long time. I don't think any of them ever pronounce it, because yeah, I forget what it is. I think I saved a photo somewhere. Maybe. Oh, this is my name forever. Okay, yeah, Baruch Hashem. Exodus 3:15. This is my name forever. Since the word Le'olam is spelled without the customary vav, it can be pronounced Le'alam, to conceal. This implies the divine name should not be pronounced as it is spelled. It says, see commentary to verse 13. God continued, this is my remembrance, meaning that He taught Moshe to pronounce the name as Adonai, and that's from Rashi commentary from the Midrash. But there's a lot of people that mistakenly think that it's like some mitzvah to pronounce God's name, which it's not at all. Especially not for an idol worshiper or someone that is basically a heretic or is a heretic. I still don't even like saying any other names, just because I don't have the apprehension I used to about various things I mentioned before or in the past, like what the source of the names was. Now I know 100%. I just mean like I don't feel worthy even to say the any of the other names for God, but certain things process to get over. Still no way in the world I'm going to say or pronounce the Tetragrammaton intentionally anyway. There was today is Tuesday. there most of the time there would be a live lecture of Jewish intimacy, but there's not going to be a live lecture today, so we got to find something else, some other Torah to learn today. Well, I've been meaning to maybe I'll do another stream sometime more specifically about this, but I mean to tell you guys, if you haven't watched haven't started watching the Jewish Intimacy series, it's just like Rabbi Rubin says, it's just like the Jewish Hashkafa, Jewish ideology series. It's for everyone. Jewish Hashkafa is how everyone should think if they want to have anything good in the world. And the same goes pretty much for Jewish intimacy, at least in regards to having good kids, and also increasing a person increasing their connection to God. And the amazing thing is a person can apply the concepts even if they aren't in a relationship or aren't in a position to have kids, because that's a huge part of it, is like the like preparation, I guess. Not being an animal. But there's something related to that kind of and also like related to reading the Torah portion early in the week, like as early as possible. Like I mentioned before, what I do is I try to read all the verses just to get through it. I've been trying to take notes, like when I read the verses and I see something or have a question about something that looks kind of weird or like I don't understand, or like when I see a word repeated, or like something that appears to be like unnecessary extra words. There's nothing extra in the Torah, so every repetition and like subtle variation means like a huge deal of information. So I try to write all that stuff down and then like go back over it when I read the commentary and see if I can find answers to most of the stuff that I have. And usually I do. Usually I do find answers, but like it seems there's always at least one verse that just doesn't have any commentary that I can find in English, or at least not in the Chumash that I have, and not in the Rashi commentary online. But that's the way it goes. I cannot like pound this point home enough that the more that you apply what you learn, the more amazing things you see in your life. Just miracles. Like 6 months ago, I was probably about half dead. At least that's the way I felt. And not good for much of anything, for getting anything done. But the other thing about like something to do that I mentioned before is Rabbi Reuben mentioned the reason why Jews saying the Shema before they go to bed is a protection from evil at night, like getting a visit by the Satan's wife. Which, for anyone that listens to this and doesn't know, that any woman that you see in your dreams isn't a woman at all. It's all the same thing. It's basically like a super powerful demon whose only purpose is to get a man to waste seed, like to have a nocturnal emission, or at least that's the purpose at night. But she is content with any, no matter what the hour is. But the reason why Rabbi Reuben says the reason why it works to protect a person from evil is because this verse is from the Torah. And well, a goy can't say the Shema. We can certainly say verses of Torah. And ever since I learned that, I've been trying to do it every single night, and it may not work at first, and it's certainly that's certainly not going to work unless you do everything else, like watch what you look at during the day and what you think about and what you talk about. But if you do all that other stuff, like you don't look at filth, and you anytime you see any kind of immodesty, turn your head and run the other way, sometimes literally if you have to. And stick to it and never give up. Don't let the lies of Satan that come in the form of 9 out of 10 doctors recommend you waste seed, that it's healthy, and all kinds of absolute garbage. Don't listen to that stuff. Just stick to it. If you keep doing it, eventually you'll see miracles, things that like don't make any kind of sense to be able to occur. Yes, still they do. I should really get back to work though. It's almost time to plant stuff. I need to plant some carrots and greens soon, but probably not today. The work never ends. Hope you guys are doing well, and hope you survived Xmas and everything else. Most importantly, I hope you're learning and applying what you learn. That's the most important thing. Hopefully, you can do a better job than I have. At least a more speedy time frame. I wasted so much time. May God grant us all health and healing of the soul and the body, especially those that need it most, that try very hard to dedicate their lives to serving Him. Because if we aren't healthy, then it's pretty hard to do anything else other than just beg God for help. Sometimes that's what He wants, so sometimes that's what we need. May God please have mercy on us. May He grant us the assistance so we can earn that mercy and earn the blessings that He wants to give us. May we all do full and complete Teshuvah a billion times over.